Well, welcome back, Jimmy. Welcome back to the studio.
Well, thank you for having me. It's been a long time since I've been here. The first time, I get my debut on the Fink Tank.
Yeah.
With Vincent Fink.
In studio at Studio B120 Winter Street Studios in the Sawyer Yards complex of Houston.
It's a new number. It used to be B8. All your printing material says B8 on it, which we need to update. Well, yeah. You need to update, but yeah, it's a whole new building here.
It's different. It's a whole new world.
Yeah, a whole new world after a crazy year.
And we ain't talking Aladdin style either.
But it is a magic carpet ride that you've been on here this last year. You've been back in your studio. It's been a while that you've been here.
Yeah, so making use of the space as best as possible. They cut a big chunk out of my studio. Took a little chunk out of my rent, but yeah, it's an adjustment that I'm working on. But certainly a slightly smaller studio is better than no studio. So I'm just very blessed to be here back and getting a rhythm again. So it feels good.
And it does look nice now that all the artwork is hanging up. Now that you're back in the studio space. Earlier it was just like covered in soot. There's black dust everywhere due to arson that happened at the end of last year, 2022, that shut the building down. And they decided to why not just renovate the whole place up and modernize it to kind of more or less fit into the new Sawyer Yards image that's been kind of evolving over the last years. Now, we can kind of attest to it. We like the old art district style where people had working in studios. Right. Don't get me wrong, beautiful space, a lot of great artists here at Winter Streets, but it does feel a little more like a gallery space versus a working studio where people come in and create stuff. If you look around, you have your easels out, you have your paints out. Again, this is your working studio. This is where you create and you manifest and you work.
Yeah, so most of them are not working studios. It seems like as time goes on, less and less of them are. But Studio B8, now B120, is one of the few that is a working studio space, and so it's not quite as glamorous as some of the other ones. But there's a certain quality to that as well that I think is
it's real.
It is, and it's also you get to see some of the process, and it's different, obviously than a place that is kept so pristine. So this place gets dirty, and that's the nitty gritty of being an artist. And if you were coming to a studio space for all the cleanliness, then maybe you had a different impression of what being an artist is, because it gets dirty, and it gets messy, and that's part of the fun. It's fun to get messy, and it's fun to be all up in it,
Yeah, and to meet the people behind the canvas. It's one thing to enjoy it, but actually meet the person who created it, to know the struggles, the ups and downs of what they went through to create these things.
Well, you certainly get a better sense of what goes into it when you see all of the materials and the workspaces, and I think that makes for a much more interesting experience. So I don't know why more artists aren't doing that, why they're not kind of displaying, I guess, their workspace. But I guess it comes down to sales, right?
Making a good impression.
Yeah,
right. But we're here nonetheless here with the wonderful recap. Actually, I'm the guest. I don't know why you should be asking me questions. Asking me how I'm doing.
Yeah. So cool. How's your year been? How's the holiday?
The holiday is miserable as always.
Oh yeah, we did an episode about that.
Yeah, I'm a Scrooge about that. But yet you helped me with the wonderful art piece, and it's kind of ironic in that art piece, which is the original Vincent Fink from way back when, but it has gone through many transformations, different evolutions. Yeah. And it's kind of like a testament to what we all evolved in. This is a piece that you've had for many years, but every year or every once in a while, you add a new layer to it. You bury a message deep within it, or the old message that was on top is now being buried, and a new chapter is being written. An ever evolving art piece.
That's what tends to happen when they don't sell. You start painting over them and trying new things. That one once had a big giant ant on it. Now that ant is no longer visible whatsoever. But it's a cool thing to do. This fire sale is still on, so hopefully we'll get a few more of those pieces sold before they get painted over, because some of them will be painted beyond recognition, much like that one was.
Yeah.
Whereas there's others, maybe I'll just try to add to it for a while and see if I can augment it in a way that is beneficial and causes somebody to make that purchase. But if not, then yeah, they're just going to be completely like revamped, and that's cool, I guess. But I'd much rather them find homes. I just don't have enough storage space for all of it at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, so this year-end review. Year-end, is it year-in or year-end?
Well, that's how I put year-end. I wrote down year-end as your ending, or and then you hear year-in review.
Yeah, some people probably say it that way too.
So yeah, I was like, are we reviewing the year, or now that we're at the year's end, do we review? How are we looking at this? Are we?
I think either way, it's the same thing.
Are we looking back, or are we having a retrospect? Are we like Like,
yeah, those are two. Those are the
reflection.
Same thing. That's the same thing.
In a mirror, or we're driving down. I'm just off on a tangent. Stop me.
So, year-end review of 2023 for Vincent Fink Art, and I guess .506 as well, because they're both kind of the same.
Two separate brands.
Brands kind of coming out of the same beast,
right?
Which is myself.
It is two different brands that you kind of like are managing on your own. Of course, not to downplay the wonderful work that your wife, Tina, has done.
Oh yeah.
Alongside you, but it really it is two brands, one person. You're not even paying yourself double. I
should be getting paid double, if not quadruple, what I'm being paid. But I chose this job as artists. We choose this life knowing that there's no direct way to success, that there's no specific formula, and we all have to find our own way there. So some people's journeys are longer than others, and that's okay as long as we're expanding and learning and enjoying it. Right? That's the point, and hopefully thriving a little bit along the way, which certainly has been the journey. So yeah, this year started off pretty cool. Certainly ended the last year on a bad note with the arson fire and a lot of stuff getting damaged, soot damage to it, being covered in soot. But luckily a few things got out of there without any damage. Luckily one of them was the 2020 piece and the rooster piece that I had in the show at the Surreal Salon at Baton Rouge, Louisiana, which was a huge thing for me to be a part of a big show like that, a very high-profile show as far as surrealism, modern surrealism, neo-surrealism, all those different surrealisms and isms. But whatever you want to call it that my art fits into, magical realism, some people will also call it. The Surreal Salon, obviously, they are taking the name of surreal, and that is the one that I generally use as well. Mm-hmm. But it was great to be a part of that show. Really enjoyed going out there and seeing the spectacle that it was with all the costumes and fun there. That was a great thing to happen. And while I was gone, you were actually here because I had another show that was actually quite cool that I didn't want to miss, which was the Lawndale Art Center. The Lawndale Art Center's lending library. Yeah,
and this lending library is a great idea. That's the first time I heard about it. Was through this, is where people can rent art pieces that they have their homes, and for the whole year they pretty much own this art piece. Right. And at the very end of the year, they get all the art pieces together, all the artists, and they have a silent auction for whoever either wants to keep the pieces that they've been holding for a year in their house, or pick up something brand new to hang in their house, but they own it at that point. So Vincent Fink's Three Birds on a Line was up there. You had a second one. No, you only had one, right?
I forget what was there now.
Yeah, it was the Three Birds on a Line.
I want to say it was the last of my parakeets that I had on these little hexagons. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So surprisingly, it was that one.
And the person who actually bought it, was the owner of the
person who got to lease it. Yeah. So that's cool that they enjoyed it enough to say, I want to keep this in my life.
Yeah. So I was there in spirit because I was there as Vincent Fink.
I was there in spirit.
Yeah, you were there. You were there in spirit. I was there as you.
Yeah, you were there as an imposter.
As an imposter.
As a proxy Vincent Fink. with a popsicle stick face mask that I provided.
That I still have hanging on my wall. I don't kiss it
no
at all.
expense.
Yeah.
It's high quality, really cool. I hand cut it. It was tough. My curls are not easy to get around. So that was cool. We managed to pull that off. I managed to have a good little trip out in Louisiana for the Surreal Salon, and also managed to be in 2 places at once and have Jimmy sporting my face on a popsicle stick at the Lawndale Lending Library.
Yeah.
At Lawndale Art Center. So that was cool. That was a great start to the year. Then moving into February, March, I know that there was there was the Blue Show at the Art Car Museum. I participated in that. There was also, we had Narratives at Play, a 3-person show at Clamplight Gallery in San Antonio, and that had me, Stephanie Gonzalez, and Calvin Presley. And it was put together and curated by Raul Gonzalez, and he's a good friend of mine. So that was really cool that he reached out to me and Stephanie here in Houston.
Native Houstonians. Again, he's out in San Antonio. He's out everywhere.
He's been out
at
there
this
for
point.
about 10 years or so, but he was part of the Houston art scene indefinitely.
Yeah, and then very, very much like a keystone of bringing Houston to San Antonio. 2 out of the 3 artists there being from Houston.
Yeah, so that was really cool of him to do that, and for us to kind of experience a little bit of the San Antonio scene for a minute. Checked out the galleries, and
was that your first time like participating in an art event in San Antonio?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And so you really had a chance to like actually get to meet the crowd, the art crowd, instead of you being an observer. Mm-hmm. And so do you notice a difference as you go to these different Texas towns, like the art vibe or the art scene?
I haven't been there enough to really be able to assess it, but I will certainly say that the art scene in San Antonio is growing, and it's beginning to thrive, and it's more than it seemed like it was, say, like 10 years ago, like when my friend moved there.
So it's not just a bunch of recycled Spanish pieces for profit. It's like it has its own vibrant scene. It has something growing and developing.
Certainly. Yeah, they have some really cool galleries. I was trying to remember all the ones that I visited, but I know Ruby Castle, I believe, is the name of the one that I visited that I really enjoyed a lot. And there's just a bunch of really cool stuff there, actually. So they have a good scene. They have good art museums, at least. That's really what I visited. I didn't see much of the galleries, but I saw some of the museums, and the contemporary art at the museums was really good, actually. A good mixture of conceptual with more like skillful stuff. I was actually happy to see that. So after that, there was Comic Palooza in May. That's always a big show. That's probably one of the only art markets that I see myself doing going forward. So yeah, Comic Palooza was cool. BAM Draper show. Yeah, so there was a couple art markets during August.
Actually,
the Value City Arts Festival. That was kind of cool. That was also then followed by the Arts Goggle in Fort Worth. Both of those art fairs, outdoor kind of art fairs. And so I did those. I did that. I did a thing.
You did a thing.
I built my first sales funnel. I was doing a lot of online stuff throughout the summer. I was cold calling a bunch of museums, getting my brand into the museums.
Well, just to
won a trophy.
Just to clarify here, again, you're talking about like you made some calls. You expand into the museum. You expand into the gift shops in these museums that you've been visiting, that you've been going to. You expand into getting in contact with them to boost your brand, your .506 shirt brand.
Yes, sir.
Right. Get into like some of that strategy. What you do to get into some of that strategy. What you did to get your foot into the door.
So I mean, it was basically just cold calling. I mean, like I got a list of all of the museums in America, and I put it on a spreadsheet, and I started cold calling them, and I started taking notes of everything I did, and until I got a no, I would continue to call, and so I still have a ton more to do because I haven't gotten very many no's. Just a lot of people busy, I guess, but that's kind of just how sales is, and you got to just kind of it's legwork, and you got to keep trying to get them, and get them to
but in a testament of that, like it wasn't all for nothing. You did get some hits, you did get some yeses, and you did get some orders.
Yes.
Actually, if I'm not mistaken, you're like literally like you have shirts in multiple museums all over the U.S.
Yep. We started first with a couple that found us actually on fair in Canada as well, and but also then I took a long time to get me into the Houston Museum of Natural Science, but once I finally got that, I was like, okay, and then I started trying to get into more, so I've been expanding and got us into several of them, one in McAllen, one in Fort Worth. I've gotten us into some other ones, one in Utah. I gave you a list of a few that I got us into earlier this year.
Well, right, yeah. So you're in Mobile, Alabama, at the Gulf Coast Explorium Museum. You're also in the Durango Discovery Museum in Durango, Colorado. The Detroit Science Center in Detroit, Michigan. The Fort Worth Science and History Museum. The International Museum of Art and Science in McAllen, Texas, and then. Well, yeah, I mean that's the list I have here.
So those are the ones I got.
Just a small list, but still to think about all the places that you have shirts in, your Smart Art, your brand T-shirts in there.
Yeah, and there's a lot of others that have been stalking us for a while that are not on that list. Those are just the new ones that
that you developed through your cold calling just by picking up the phone
in 2023. Yeah,
and also another testament. Here we are in 2023, but yet still the old-fashioned method of picking up the phone and making a call still holds true today.
Yep, I strongly believe in that method of just grind, right? You just gotta work at it. So, I mean, yeah, and I've been grinding, and I'm gonna continue. So
and you've also been traveling. Stopping. You've been putting some miles in that little Astro van of yours.
Yeah, we went to Chicago. We just got back a couple weeks ago, and we did one of a kind show there, which is always the best show of the year anytime we've done it. We took a break during 2020 for obvious reasons, and we just came back now. And it was definitely the best art market kind of show, anything like that, where we're selling directly to the public. And we killed it as usual. So we'll be back to Chicago, I'm sure.
Well, can we expand on that, on like how huge this event is? I mean, like the closest thing I could think of is like here in Houston we have the big Wham event, here at the Winter Street, which is like all the local arts and craft people are out here selling their wares. But you're saying like this is like a big convention. Like how many vendors are we talking here?
Hundreds. Yeah, I mean there's probably like 700 or something. I think it's a ridiculous amount.
And they take over like a convention center or something like that.
Pretty much. It's this place called the Mart, and it's this huge I don't know. It's up on I think the 7th floor. It's this huge building, and it takes up this whole floor of this just giant building. So it's massive. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's no small testament that you're not just as just a little art market that you'll see here in Houston, but you're like this is
the biggest thing that they do in Chicago. And Chicago is like the 3rd largest city in the country, so yeah, it's a big thing.
And you're slowly making your name for yourself in Chicago. You're not only in galleries in there. You're obviously within the close to getting into a museum there, but you're also the worm is out there now in Chicago.
I haven't really done anything in there other than show at One of a Kind. I haven't really tapped that market.
But One of a Kind is also a big event too. Yeah. Again, not to downplay all your achievements that you've accomplished. Granted, that might be the list that you have wanted, but not to downplay, but it's still worth talking about the massive size of the One Art Show. Not only that, but even in San Francisco for the Modern Eden event, that was another big accomplishment, another big goal that you were keeping your eye on for a long time, that you finally came to fruition this year.
Yeah. So in June. I participated with Modern Eden for the first time. They put out an open call for their Beyond Original show, which is basically taking classic portraits and reimagining them in a new surreal style. So I had proof that I could do that because I had done that actually with a commission piece from one of my collectors where he got me to do my version of Son of Man by Magritte, and that went over really well. So I sent that to them, got it accepted. Submitted a pretty cool involved piece, my reinterpretation of Son of Man, which is of course, sorry, I said Son of Man. I meant the creation of Adam, which is Michelangelo's painting on the Sistine Chapel, of course, the most famous panel of that immense undertaking. And so, I did my version of that. It looked pretty cool. I used some kind of geometry on Adam and some Atlas metamorphosis on God, I guess you could say. But it sold, so that's always a good sign, right? When your first show with a gallery, you sell a piece, they usually invite you back, and so that's what they did. So they invited me back to some more shows, and I accepted for their November show. It's called Mass, and it was small works, and sold one of the 3 pieces that I submitted to that, the Chameleon. So that's a great trend that I have building with this gallery in San Francisco, and certainly probably the most one of the things at least that I'm most proud of over this year, because it's just super cool. So yeah, got more shows coming up with them soon in the new year. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Let me see here. What else I got here? We're almost done, because that's really it.
Yeah.
Actually, that pretty much is it. We skipped a few things about the brand, like the designs, but let's see here. Anything else I want in there? Yeah.
Personal tribulations. Again, the year. Talking about all the ups. There were some downs. You did have some things happen. It was a trying year. Not only moving your whole art studio that you have in this, at the time, a big room, moving into your small living room at home, along with your living spaces. So you're like your home. It's kind of like as everyone was moving out of their work from home life after COVID, you had been brought back. You had to go back home for a temporary moment.
Yeah. Yeah, it was kind of like COVID all over again, just even more miserable, because all my art was covered in soot, and I was having to sort through that and try to clean it, as well as maintain the rest of the business that already exists, which consists of making more art and all that stuff. And trying to do that in a constrained space at home, not really in a position to upgrade and buy some outrageously more expensive studio, which pretty much most of the others are, that are anywhere near the size I need. So yeah, it was a tough situation, and I basically was just kind of looking at it like, maybe this is a moment the universe is sending me that I need to kind of reassess and kind of regroup and just kind of reconfigure and think about how I do things, and see if there is ways to streamline that and try to come out of it on top, and try to come out with it with a I guess I also wanted to see if I could work from home and how that would work out, and if I really needed the studio. And a lot of good things happen. So that is certainly strange information, that sometimes you're kind of like, well, I didn't think that I thought that I needed the studio more than I think I do. So who knows how long I'll keep it, but I did also kind of have in my mind, well, I still want to go back when it reopens. I still want to try it out and see what it's like for about a year, maybe. We'll see, and reassess it after that.
Yeah.
So now here we are, and we're gonna see how it goes, and hopefully I can get through a year of it. Yeah.
It should be a lot more easier. You are in a lot more better health too. You used to have a surgery that was kind of like you've been putting off for a while.
Yeah.
And during that time too, you kind of. Well, it was a little bit of a hard. I would imagine it would be a little hard moment, because you literally had to stop everything. You couldn't walk. You couldn't paint. Yeah. You couldn't. You literally, all these projects piling up, all these things spinning your head, and you couldn't get it done.
Yeah, that was certainly a challenge, dealing with that, and not a lot of fun being bedridden for like 2 weeks, and then hardly being able to do a lot for about a month or so, all due to ass surgery, and just having problems with that. I don't know how much of that I should talk about, but
we can. It was a summer night. We had a little bit of too much red wine, and we just started talking one thing.
Yeah.
But no, like literally, you literally were asked up for what, 3 to 4 weeks, and you literally had to say like, hey, you can't do anything. you know.
Yeah, it was hell.
Was there anything that you were trying to do, regardless that, you know, like, hey, even though they told me I couldn't do it, like, I still want to, you know, I still want to get up and, you know, do. Was there something that you were like, defiantly, I'm going to do it regardless?
Yeah, it was just doing art, you know, after several days of just laying there and not doing hardly anything, and, you know, just watching videos or whatever on the internet. Like, that got old very quickly, and very soon I was like, I've got to create something. You know, I have an innate desire to create, and so I don't like going very long without doing that. Eventually I have to. So like those fishies over there, actually, these guys, I can show you. These were probably the first pieces that I worked on while I was, you know, coming back to life, I guess you could say. And I haven't actually put them on, you know, cradled panels yet, so they're not fully mounted or anything, but they're
still
pretty cool.
Still in a raw form. Well, you know.
Yeah, but, you know, they're pretty cool. So yeah, I don't know, man. You know, it's definitely puts you in a weird place. All of these changes, all of this roughness, it's I'm not gonna lie, it's been a motherfucker of a year, motherfucker of the last couple of years, and it's been challenging me and trying my abilities and my ability to cope with all the problems and all the things coming at me in so many ways. So yeah, I mean, I handled it, I got through it. I'm looking forward to being able to stand for several hours at a time now without having discomfort and things like that fucking me up. So it feels good to feel young again and like not like an old man again. So I definitely plan on taking advantage of that.
Taking advantage of that youthful energy. I mean, hell, you drove 24 hours to get to Chicago for your last event before coming here. And that's a feat of strength.
I drove 15 hours pretty much straight with a few like quick pit stops. But yeah, 15 hours without any rest, any sleep. And that, yeah, sitting down was never the problem though. Well, it wasn't what hurt. It actually was the problem perhaps, but it was more of the standing. Because hemorrhoids, you know, if you don't know about them, you're lucky. I don't know why I was subjected to such horror in my life, but it was, yeah, something that a 30-year-old man should never have to go through. And women I've heard of who went through the surgery I had and the fallout from that have described it as worse than childbirth. So now I don't have to take anyone's shit when they tell me, oh, you don't know what it's like to give birth to a baby, because I've heard from those who have, and this was worse. So I don't know if it really was, but it's at least comparable. All right.
God damn.
Anyways, yeah.
Kudos to you, brother.
Yeah.
Kudos to you. I just feel that pain. I mean, like shit. Like just literally shit. Well, as we kind of wrap things up and you know, sail off into the sunset, let's not be remiss that even though you had some trials and tribulations, some more than you have in years past, you know, much like a lot of us, either we overcome it or we let it consume us. You are on the other side of that, where you have overcome it, and then now the road lays before you, which looks like a clear path to where you want to go, with little to no road bumps. So, what kind of things are you looking forward to here in 2024 that you want to accomplish?
Well, certainly getting work done for the shows that I have lined up, and that's the main thing. Is basically just
you already have shows already lined up.
Yeah, they're not letting these people down who are expecting work from me. So, you know, there's a solo show at Blowback Gallery in Pueblo, Colorado, happening at the end of summer of 2024, and that's going to be a major thing that I want to make sure that I can fill that gallery with nothing but new good stuff. And then also, yeah, the shows at Modern Eden, I've already signed up for a couple of those. They have a metallic kind of gold themed show. I forget the names of these shows actually right now, but I can pull them up. The other one I'm going to do is called Year of the Dragon. And because next year is Year of the Dragon, so that's going to be the theme of one of the two shows that I'm signed up for with them.
Exciting stuff. So for those who don't know already, and where you can find Vincent Fink on all social medias. Wait, this is your show. This is where you plug your stuff.
You can go ahead.
All right. So, Vincent, where can we find you chilling in the cut? Where can we find you on IG, Snapchat, TikTok? You don't stop, and Grindr.
Well, I'm assuming you found me already because you're watching this. But yeah, VincentFink.com is always the place I would divert all attention to because that's my site and I need clicks. But you can also find me on all the other channels, YouTube, Insta, all that crap.
The Rumbles, the Patrons, everything. VincentFink.com.
Fuck yeah.
Yeah, there you go. Vincent Fink, thank you once again
thank you,
for
Jimmy,
having
for
me here on the
stopping
Fink
through
Tank.
Yeah.
Until next time, catch you on the next one.
Adios. Thanks for watching today's video. If you enjoyed, please hit like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Also, if you want to support me as a content creator, as a artist, as a creator of culture, what art has always been throughout history, then if you think my voice has value, if you value free-thinking artists who push themselves to the limits, then please head on to patreon.com/VincentFink. You can start at the price of a cup of coffee per month and will far exceed the monetary value of your investment with art gifts. So please check it out. And thank you very much for watching today. And we'll see you in the next vid.